All right, let's see. Want to learn something new about selling. Okay. All right. Just waiting for it to load up here.
No problem.
Cool. I think we are good to go.
Awesome.
Okay, let's see. Got a few watching here. Okay, cool. Well, we'll get started. Yeah. All right, we'll get started. Okay, well, hey, everybody. So, Nick here from Empire Flippers again. So, at the end of Q4 2022, Reed and I, we ran our first live stream on the Empire Flippers referral program. And since then, we've had a few more partners signing up, uh, many who are still making tens of thousands from the referral program, as we'll talk about in a little bit. But this is probably going to be a quick one. We just wanted to maybe test out doing these recaps maybe on a quarterly basis to just talk about how the program is going, and for anybody who is interested in joining, offering information about how they can do that. And for anybody who is already in the program, maybe any updates about who is successfully promoting the program, who are the people that are making a lot of the referral payouts, and maybe anything that has changed within the program or any pain points that we're discovering as we're going through just building out the program even further. So I am bringing back the Empire Flippers referral program manager, Reed. So, Reed, thank you for joining us again today, buddy. How are you and
Yeah, of
where are you
course.
right now?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm a little tired because I just landed in Mexico City this morning, but it's a beautiful city, one of my favorites in the entire world. So I'm happy to be here.
You told me that you landed and immediately went for tacos, which definitely speaks to my
Yes.
heart. What is your what is your go-to taco when you do something like this, such as land and go straight for tacos?
I'm a tacos al pastor the whole way. I think it's
Okay.
the best. I also got some bistec, and if I'm feeling a little adventurous, I'll go for a lengua, which is tongue.
Yeah,
Um, but normally it's the al pastor. Al pastor is my favorite by far.
very nice.
So
Very nice. And I have yet to go to Mexico City and try these amazing tacos, which kind of surprises me because
you got
tacos
to.
are one of my favorite things or food items. If I had to choose one for the rest of my life, probably
Yep.
tacos might be there as a contender. So
So
I'm
much
kind of surprised
variety.
that I haven't visited. I know, and it's a little like if you have to choose one food for the rest of your life, you want it to be something that has variety and it gives you some carbs, some proteins, and some vegetables. And it's like a
Yep.
little meal packet right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of funny though because I've been living in Argentina for the last 7 months, and one very distinct thing about Argentinian culture versus Mexican culture when it comes specifically to food is Argentinians do not do spicy, generally speaking.
Right.
So I sat down to eat my tacos and was just loading it up with all the salsa and was like, oh, wait, I forgot. The food is actually going to kick my butt a little bit here. So had to
Nice.
slow my roll a little bit.
Nice. Well, we could probably talk about tacos for a little while, but we will
Yeah.
talk instead about the referral program here, since that's what people are here to listen about. So, to start
Absolutely.
us off, for if anybody is listening to this who is unfamiliar with the program, anybody who is new, potentially interested in joining the program, can you start us off by talking about just the program in general, what it is, and then we can get more into the performance of the program itself.
Absolutely. So the referral program at Empire Flippers is a program that we constructed to make sure that people who are bringing value to Empire Flippers in the form of deals are seeing some financial benefit from that. So if you send us qualified referrals for either buyers that are going to purchase businesses on the marketplace or sellers that are going to sell their business, we will pay out 20% of whatever our commission is to you as the referral partner once that deal is completed. Um, And yeah, I mentioned it was both buyers and sellers. Sometimes think it's just sellers or just buyers, but it's actually for both. So yeah.
Nice. And so let's get into a bit about, maybe we can talk about how the program did in Q4 of 2022, compare that to how it did in Q1 of 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think when we chatted last time, we maybe had a like an in progress kind of update on Q4, but obviously now Q4 is finished. We have those final numbers, and they really came in, um, very very strong. Which of course we were hoping for, but it was great to see the realization of our efforts. Um, so we ended up actually paying out almost $100,000 in referral commissions,
This
which
is in
is
Q4 of
in
2022.
Q4 of 2022. Yeah.
Okay.
Which, if you look at the year as a whole, I believe it was about 350,000. So we really saw as the year go on, or as the year went on, rather, we saw those payouts start to ramp up. And we added 110 new referral partners. So at the end of last year, we had about 380 people, which was up from, I believe, maybe 340 when we talked about it about halfway through the quarter.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was great. And in terms of overall, like, what does that actually mean? Like, yes, we paid out almost $100,000. You could do some quick math and figure out roughly what our total net fees were. But the reality is that the referral partners made up about 26% of our referral, or I'm sorry, of our total fees, our total business that we did in Q4 of 2022, which is
Wow.
awesome. It's up
Yeah.
from, yeah, it was at about 15% at the beginning of the year, up to 26% at the end of the year, which was just great to see.
Yeah. And this is kind of putting you on the spot. You might need to look at this after.
Sure.
But do you know how many of the 380, I think you mentioned, how many
Mhm.
of those contributed to that 100,000 plus commission that we paid out?
Yeah, it's roughly about 10%.
Okay.
So somewhere in the realm of 30 to 40 individuals are the majority of the people that are
Okay.
making that money. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
So
Okay, nice. And then compare that to Q1 2023. How
yeah.
did we look?
So obviously the quarter is still in progress. We've got a couple days left, but being that we're almost at the end, we've got a pretty good idea of what it's going to look like. In terms of the actual numbers, we saw the amount that we paid out to referral partners this quarter actually go up. We're at over 100,000, at 115,000 almost, which is great to see. And that number can be a little bit confusing because oftentimes if a deal sold in the last quarter, it may not get paid out until the beginning of Q1 or something. So you have a little bit of lag time where some of those deals were actually from Q4. But we're around 110, 115,000, which is great to see. So far, we've added 85 new partners. So we're at, I think the exact number is 458, which is amazing.
Wow.
And in terms of percentages of deal flow, it's almost the exact same. We're sitting at right about 24% of Empire Flipper's total commission and deal flow coming directly from our referral partners, which is really exciting.
Got it. Got it. And for the, let's see, for that 24%, is that around the same? I guess would that mean that there are fewer of the total referral partners making commission? Do you know how much that breaks down to as far as the number of referral partners that received the 115,000? Or it looks like
In comparison to
130,000.
Q4,
So I think less, you said
yeah,
about 10% for Q4. 10% of the 340 or 380.
yeah. So I would say that we're still, even though we've added about 100 partners, we're still looking at roughly 35 to 45 people that are making majority of those introductions. With, if we're being really realistic, probably 20 people who are among the high earners that every quarter are making at least $10,000 or more from the referral program. So you've got a pretty specific group of people that are doing very, very well in the program. And of course, we can talk a little bit about what they're doing and what we've seen success with, because there really is a mix of what we're seeing in terms of strategies and things like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's actually the next thing I did want to talk about, which is
yeah.
of those people who are receiving a majority of that commission, who are the successful? I guess you mentioned who the
Mhm.
successful are, but what are they doing, and what can people who are currently in the program or people new to the program do to be within that group?
Yeah. So one thing that I didn't mention when I mentioned the overview of the referral program is that there's multiple different ways to refer people. One of which, and I think the easiest to use is your referral link, which comes with a 2-year browser cookie and first click attribution. So if you publish a blog article, either reviewing Empire Flippers, talking about um, selling your online business, and you include a link to our services, something like that, those referrals, again, if they qualify, should yield a payout. Um, and then there's other people who have a more focused approach where they are actually making email introductions to us, and it's a much more warm handoff. The majority of the people that are higher performing partners are not necessarily just the ones that are making personal introductions, but if they're utilizing the link, they're a service provider or a related business. So people who are involved in Amazon advertising or Amazon account management. Um, we had a couple people that are, um, without disclosing any names, kind of in the finance space, and we're working with on that. So what I would say to anybody who's interested in the program is just make sure that you have the appropriate audience. The program is very, very lucrative. You can make a lot of money with it, but ultimately it's only if you have the right audience. It's not just an affiliate link that you're going to toss out on a random blog and see traffic come from it.
Yeah. So that last group of people that you just mentioned, like those who are specialists in some facet of Amazon FBA, for example, those who have
Mm-hmm.
experience running Amazon advertising campaigns, what you're
Mm-hmm.
suggesting is that they have access to clients who own these Amazon accounts, who would then be probably good candidates for selling their business, or likely would want to
Correct.
sell their business. Okay. So it could be
Correct.
anybody, like even an accountant, or I think you
Mm-hmm.
actually mentioned
A
that, an accountant.
lawyer, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody that's in the space, and actually we have an accounting um, uh, or rather a bookkeeping agency that we have as one of our partners. We're working on some content with as well, or rather have worked on some content with that is seeing some success. Um, and when I sent out the Q4 update, which had some of this information in it, which we do, in case people who are watching don't know, we do have a newsletter for the referral program. So sign up for the referral program. You'll get some updates from us. But I mentioned, if you're interested in being a referral partner and you're one of these related fields, like you have a bookkeeping agency for e-commerce, you have an account management or a growth agency, um, probably the most aligned is going to be people who are involved in financing for purchasing or some kind of exit planning, because you're going to be closer to the exit.
Mm.
But if you're involved in those fields, give us a call. Schedule a call with me, and see what we can do. Because ultimately, with the referral program, we don't want to just receive inbound leads and see what happens. We really want to work with our partners, which, in my opinion, is why when you look at the total number of people that are involved in the program, there's only about 10% of them that are really taking advantage, because those are the people that have called me and reached out to try and be successful.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier about the 2-year attribution. So I think a lot of
Yeah,
people might be wondering, all right, well, how long does it actually take for me to get
yeah,
paid after I start working
it's a
with
great
in the
question.
program? I know.
Yeah,
So for there's that, and then did you want to talk about the fastest referral payouts that we've had?
yeah, we can talk about that. I think it's important to mention, within the 2-year attribution, just because I think this is interesting, you do actually get paid for anything that your referrals do within that 2-year window. So I believe it was in the ends, like the very tail end of Q4, we actually had one partner get paid out almost $40,000 split over 4 different deals. And all of them were from the same referral, or the same buyer that he referred to us. So if you're thinking like, oh, but this is a lot of work for a one-off, it's not a one-off. If you bring us good customers and they repeat business with us, you're going to continue to get paid.
That's a good
But
point.
yeah, but the exciting thing and the kind of fastest is when we're working with sellers in particular. My background was on our sales team for a while. I helped sellers prepare for their exit. We would usually tell them that they need to expect anywhere from 3 to 6 months from the time they start the vetting process to the time they are getting paid for their exit. And of course, there's a huge range in there, because a $100,000 content site doesn't take nearly as long to vet and sell as, say, a $10 million FBA business. But the buyer side of the business, we're always going to see things happen a little bit quicker. And last quarter, we actually saw someone that was eligible to get paid out within 2 weeks. He referred us a buyer on, I want to say it was a Thursday. It was March 3rd. Or no, I'm sorry. I'm getting my dates mixed up here. Beginning of December, something of that nature. And the next day, that buyer actually purchased a business and had funds in the bank. So we reached out to him to set up payment. That business had to go through an inspection period. So of course, there's going to be a minimum of 2 weeks. But although the life cycle or the sales cycle can be multiple months, and I encourage people to think about that when they're thinking about referring, if you have buyers in particular refer, you can get paid as quickly as they deploy capital. So it can go pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And on just one last point there, on the seller side of things, our fastest seller referral payout was a little under 2 months. It was 53 days. So that's from the date that they referred to the time they got into vetting, got listed, sold, and we actually transferred the money to this partner, which is, that's even almost the same payout timeline as like if you're selling on Amazon or something of that nature. So it's pretty quick. We're really proud of that.
Like when Amazon sends you the funds
When
for your sales.
yeah, when
Right.
Amazon sends you your money, it's roughly the same timeline as what we're doing now with the referral program, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad we're talking about this point, because I think when people hear the 2-year attribution, there's a huge window. And I mean, that still is the reality, but that you could get paid out much
Yeah,
even years after you decide to promote. But you can also get paid out in as quickly as within a couple of weeks, just
yeah,
for, sounds like, sending out an email newsletter. So not a ton of work either on behalf of the referral partners to receive thousands
yeah.
of dollars within 2 weeks or 2 months.
Yeah, and both of those, you mentioned there thousands of dollars. Both of those were around $4,000 to $7,000. So it's not like it was a couple $100 referral fee as kind of a one-off. Those are serious amounts of money, which is great.
Yeah, nice. And I wanted to talk a little bit about double payouts, as I don't think we talked about this
Yeah,
last time. So just what those are, and the fact that that does exist, and how that affects certain referral
yeah.
partners.
So on any given deal, um, from the most technical standpoint, there's a buyer and a seller, and both of those are eligible for referral payouts. So I believe our first one was in Q4. We've seen now 2 or 3 in Q1 of 2023. But we're calling them kind of the double payouts, where actually both the buyer of the business and the seller were referred to us, which means we didn't have any hand in the acquisition process of those leads. Of course, we still were the broker for the deal. We still vetted and valued the business and are migrating the business. They're still getting the full suite of our services. Um, but from our standpoint, at that point, we're giving away 40% of our commission because both parties are entitled to 20%. Um, but we didn't have to actually look for that specific buyer or look for that specific seller. So it makes an easy case for us to say, hey, send us your buyers and your sellers, and it's I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of a sad day, I guess, when we're paying out so much of our commission. But it's also a great thing because it means that the program is working. It means that we're seeing success on both sides of the business. And this actually brings up a really interesting point, which is last year in Q1 and Q2, it was almost exclusively seller referrals. Like the referrals that were being brought in and being paid out on, almost all of them were for sellers, and we weren't seeing many buyer referrals. In both Q4 and so far, or Q4 of 2022 and so far in Q1 of 2023, it's been an almost even split. I believe in Q4 it was literally within. I just look at the numbers here. It was within $10,000 of total deal flow, which is like the difference between 49% and 51%. And then this quarter, it was skewed a little bit more towards the sellers, but still with a really healthy mix of about 60-40. So
Nice.
I love that's growing as well.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe that's a little bit of insight as far as anybody new to the program thinking about what type of audience is
Yeah.
purchasing that would get them that commission, the referral commission that buyers are definitely purchasing right now. So
Hmm.
if you have that audience, then it makes sense to contact Reed and see if it does make actual sense to become a referral partner. Uh, but Reed, are there any? I don't know if we didn't talk about this, but are there any pain points or new points of friction that you've experienced with just with the program in Q1 2023? Anything that our current referral partners have reached out to us about?
Yeah. So there's two or three things that come up relatively consistently. And of course, I take in all the feedback and see if there's ways that we can make meaningful change to remove friction. But I would say the two main things that do come up are first click attribution versus value added. We've had one or two cases where someone clicked a link on someone's website, and then a different referral partner or a different client of ours that would become a referral partner sent kind of an introductory email and said, "Hey, my friend wants to sell," and we did in those cases have to stick with our first click attribution because that's the way the program is set up. If someone clicks on your link, you are insured to have that lead for 2 years. And it can sometimes be disappointing for the referral partner that said or sent, say, an intro email. The only other thing that has come up is a similar type of, I don't want to say issue, but a similar type of question, and that is about qualification, like what even a qualified referral looks like. Because for sellers, if they have submitted a business to our vetting process before, they are no longer eligible to be referred because that's an existing client of ours. We've worked with them in the past. And a referral should be a new business. You're referring someone who doesn't know about us or that we don't know about. And there's been a handful of cases where someone sent an email intro.
A new
Maybe
business
they,
owner.
yeah,
Yeah.
sent a or a new referral partner sent an introduction to a business owner that we're already familiar with, that we've worked with in vetting in the past, and that does not qualify. But again, we're taking in that feedback. If it was an issue that really kept us from paying out referral partners, we'd probably look more seriously at making a change. But at this point, it's kind of a one-off situation, and normally there's still a pretty clear path forward where we can make sure that referral partners are happy and continue to send deals our way. So
Yeah,
some pain points, but nothing that's derailed any deals or anything like that.
for sure. Well, I mean, that same pain point, if you will, is also what makes the program attractive because of that 2-year
Right.
attribution that if you send out an email 2 years ago that you might still receive the dividends from
Yeah,
doing that. Yeah.
exactly. And if you had let's say it's not a link. Let's say we had two different referral partners send an email intro, one a year ago and one yesterday for the same seller. The person that sent it a year ago is going to be the one that gets paid because they made the introduction. Again, not everybody is going to agree with that, but we want to make sure that that window, that 2-year window, is really clear cut. We have it as black and white as possible. And when you look at, just like you said, like that's a huge reason to actually participate in the program. Because if you look at competitors and what kind of referral programs you're getting out there with other brokers, I won't say any names, but we've got one competitor that's at 4 months and they have to actually close within that 4 months. You know, that's a
You
pretty
mean
slim.
you mean you don't get paid if it doesn't close within a 4-month window?
Correct. Yeah. Sorry, that wasn't super concise, but you won't
Wow.
get paid at all if your referral doesn't close within 4 months. Another that's a similar situation if they don't close within 1 year. And for us, you may make an introduction. They talk with our seller advisor team, and the seller's not ready for 6 months or a year. It's not your fault that they're not ready.
Which
It's
is
not.
very common, actually.
Yeah, super common. It happens all the time. In fact, I've been in the partnerships role for, gosh, I think close to 9 months now, and I still get emails from previous sellers that are like, "Hey, I talked with you a year and a half ago. Can you help me through the sales process?" So it happens all the time, and that's why we've decided on that 2-year window, and so far it's paid dividends for our referral partners.
Nice. That's great to hear. Well, as a side note to the audience, if you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the chat and we're happy to answer those. And read any notes for people right now who are interested in joining the program as of right now.
Yeah, I would say, kind of like I mentioned at the beginning, if you're interested in the referral program, feel free to reach out to myself directly or to go directly to the referral program page and apply. There is an application process where we just gather some information to make sure that it's going to be a good fit. But before you take that step, I would say just be a little bit critical of your audience and say, is this actually going to be beneficial for them? Because if you don't provide value by introducing Empire Flippers to your audience, then you're not going to see success with payouts or things like that. And if you have an audience that would benefit from our services, or even our education on building online businesses and things of that nature, I would say that you're probably, again, if you have an audience that fits with what we're doing, you're going to have a much higher rate of success. And the
Yeah.
last thing I would say is if you're interested in being a part of the program, or if we have any existing partners watching, feel free to schedule a call with me anytime to discuss what we can do to collaborate together. There's a lot that we can do with content to, either cross promote where it makes sense, or just create educational material for the sake of creating good and educational content for our audiences.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to bring up because I think I actually
Yeah.
saw yesterday about how somebody was promoting us through an email or something, and it looked like that was
Mhm.
actually a form of I don't know if it was cross promotion, but it looks like they might have communicated that their promotion strategy with you or somehow got you involved. Maybe I was misreading that. It was from a Slack message that I just saw, I think yesterday or
Off,
maybe even today.
I'm going to be honest, off the top of my head, I don't remember. But we do have a couple active partners that we're working with in terms of um, uh, like doing targeted campaign outreaches and also just doing more like content driven education. A couple bigger partnerships that should come to fruition later on this year with some familiar names in the space. So I won't say too much, but we're getting excited um, for pushing that out a little bit more as well.
Cool. Yeah, and I guess my point of bringing that up is just that that's a possibility for people to reach out to you and
Yes,
discuss and have that kind of conversation with you about potential
absolutely.
strategies.
100%. If you want to push out Empire Flippers and it makes sense for us to work with you on some kind of content, absolutely book a call. We'll talk about whether or not it makes sense and take it from there.
Cool. All right, real quick, and looks like we did get one question from Liam. What about referrals using ads such as Google or Facebook
Yeah,
ads, etc.? Also would like to contact Also would like the contact information to get in touch. Liam, I will leave a link in the description of this video after I end the broadcast, and so I'll leave a link there. It'll go straight to the contact page, and you can submit your information and schedule a time to chat with Reed. But
yeah.
about the question about ads.
Yeah, so Liam, what I would say is ads are going to generally be a no-no. The main reason being that if you're promoting us, you're going to have to essentially get clearance on every part of that campaign, including our logo use, including any materials that you're wanting to push out there. Because what we want to avoid is you running an ad campaign on behalf of Empire Flippers. That's not what we're looking for with our partners. Any other kind of advertising would have to go through some kind of like joint initiative where you're promoting your own services in congruence with Empire Flippers, which we haven't yet seen a successful partner with that. The one other thing I would mention in that realm is, although we've had some success with quick payouts, we still have an average of probably 3 to 6 months. If you're looking at the time that you send us a lead that converts, not just a lead that clicks on your link, but actually converts and gets either into the vetting process and listed, or if they're a buyer, provides verified funds and starts unlocking businesses. Like, you're looking at a 3 to 6 month timeline, and most strategies for advertising on anything like social media or Google ads, if you're not going to see any kind of success for 3 to 6 months, you're going to give up on that kind of campaign. So I know that was a little bit of a long answer, but the more concise version is it's generally a no-no. If you have a really specific idea for what you want to do, go ahead and book a call with me and we can talk about it.
Cool. It sounds like he says he would rather not do that in the first place, but that's a great point about just the return on ad spend, not potentially not seeing that for 3 to 6 months. That's a very valid point.
Right.
Nice. Okay. Well, I'm not seeing any additional questions here, but if you do have anything that you want to talk with Reed directly about, again, I'm going to leave. Oh, okay. Liam says he'd rather not use the Empire Flippers brand in advertising.
Yeah.
I think that's something to talk with you about.
I was going to say, I was like, this is going to become a conversation that's, pretty specific really quickly. So feel free to reach out. And also, I guess one final point, if you don't feel that you're necessarily going to be sending us a lot of leads, but you still feel that there's an overlap in general audience, for instance, sometimes lawyers or bookkeepers, feel free to still reach out and see if there's a way for us to collaborate. Because we have plenty of partners who we're working with on various pieces of content or chatting with about referrals that may only send us one referral a year, but can still provide some value. So feel free to reach out to me for that kind of thing as well, if you're kind of in the general space but don't think you'll send us many leads.
And what does that look like? Are you referring to us cross promoting, as in we are talking about their company to our audience, or what do you mean by that?
In this specific case, it'd probably be more content swaps, so something like a blog exchange.
Okay.
Because if it doesn't make sense for you to promote us, it may not make sense for us to promote you.
Sure.
It really just depends on I know I'm being kind of vague. There's just a lot of ifs, so I don't want to cause more questions than not. But let's say, for instance, you're an early stage incubator. This would be a perfect example. Like, you are focused specifically on early stage startups and business development. It may not make sense for you to refer people, because if they're not going to be ready for 3 to 5 years to exit, then that's going to go beyond your 2 year window anyway. But maybe it makes sense for us to make a YouTube video or to do a blog about how to build a business for an exit in the future. So that's kind of what I'm talking about, where maybe you wouldn't actually be sending us a lot of referrals that are going to convert, but there's still an opportunity for us to make educational content for both audiences, and kind of have a mutually beneficial relationship in that way.
Got it. So still help you in some way if even if outside of the
Yeah,
referral program.
yeah,
Yep. Okay. Cool. Well, I think the overriding message here then is to connect with Reed
yeah. Give me a
specifically about
call.
any questions. Cool. So I'll leave a link below, but if anybody has any questions for me, feel free to leave them in the YouTube description. So I think that's it. So Reed,
Yeah,
thanks again for your time.
of
We
course.
might need to do another one in the next quarter or the next 2 quarters if there are, especially if there are any major updates. But until then, I will talk to you later.
See you soon.
See ya. Bye, everybody.